2, and 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Brawl, Episode 1. I am Drew, and I'm back with Mr. Dunbar. You may have seen us in Episode 0, where he was screaming at you, and I was whispering from a great distance away. Hopefully we got those issues resolved, but we're excited to have you. We have the full Too Many Beards crew with us here today. We have Tyler on screen there with the magnificent red beard, and Josh is going to be off screen with us today, but he'll hear the voice chiming in from away. How you guys doing today?
Doing good, man.
Good. Glad to finally get the crew together virtually, and get this thing rolling. So we're excited to use this segment to talk about what we're interested in gaming, what we're doing in gaming, what's cool in gaming, what we'd like to see changed with games. So we wanted to do a little introduction to Tyler and Josh. So Tyler, why don't we start with you? So what was your gaming journey? Like, where did you come from? How did you get into gaming? Why do we all know each other, sort of thing?
So for me, I never really did any tabletop gaming when I was younger. Was always like interested in it. I'd seen Warhammer and it's like, oh, that looks really cool, but never got into it. And then one day decided when I was in my mid-20s, like, let's just go to a shop that sells it and check it out. So I met you at that shop, and actually you let me borrow your army for my first game day with Space Wolves.
Yeah. That's a story that I have to be reminded of. I guess I'm so old that I forget that stuff, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For me, because I'm not normally a nice person, but go on.
And then, that's kind of how I got into it, and I just kept going from there. Same thing with RPGs. I always had an interest in it, but never had any friends that did it. So once I was at the game shop, started to get to know people, I made a push to try to get into RPGs as well. So that's kind of how I got into it, and I've transitioned away from tabletop wargaming as heavy as I was. Just playing Conquest now, but definitely still doing a lot of RPG stuff, or at least trying to when I can.
Yeah, we just tried out that Stormlight Archives.
That's
really cool. I'm pretty jazzed for that. Give that a shot.
Yeah, that intro mission's pretty awesome. The way they build your character for you, and that I like that.
Yeah, that's as cool of an intro to an RPG as I've ever seen. So I really dig that. Well, good. So wonderful. So you didn't start really gaming until you were in your 20s, like you said, mid-20s. Okay, so much different from Dunbar and I. We've both been pretty much cradle to grave gamers. So that's cool. Josh, how about you? What was where'd you come from?
So I came from a lovely town, Joplin, Missouri. I got introduced to the Warhammer world through a PlayStation game called Shadow of the Horned Rat. If you haven't played it, I recommend going back and checking it out. It is one of the most frustrating games ever, but it was super cool. Yeah. So went down to the local book/hobby store. It was called Changing Hands Bookshop, and just decided to pick up a box of Warhammer. It was I believe it was 4th edition with the Bretonnians and Lizardmen. Put them together, painted them up, but never really got around to playing. Just wasn't really sure how to get into that and had some anxiety around it. But eventually, my interest really never waned, and I really got into the different PC games and Dawn of War and such. And fast forward a few years, and I believe it was 2008, I decided to give it another try, and through the magic of the internets, I found Jack Games up in Akron and went up there initially just to get some paint so that I could repaint what I had, and just kind of went overboard from there. I mean, everything from Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40k, really big into War Machine and Hordes, but here anymore, mostly just Conquest. Board games, of course, I love, especially playing with the kids, and introducing them to that, and of course our semi-weekly RPG sessions. So pretty much a little bit of everything.
and volleyball, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, good. Well, so there's a lot of gaming experience, and I think, one of my former students commented on the first episode 0 of the podcast. He's like, you do realize you're not helping the stereotype that every middle-aged white guy has a podcast. So I guess we're falling into that trope. I'm fine with it. I don't know if we have anything that the world needs to hear, but I think that we're here to offer some unique and interesting perspective at the very least of a lot of experience and everything like that. So I'm glad we're all here. So I want to talk about Brew Brawl, right? Because Brew Brawl is what we have upcoming. It's a week from today, actually. So this episode will be airing much closer to that, but it is Friday, so we are 1 week out. I'm looking forward to you guys, coming in from Canton, Columbus, and somewhere in Wisconsin, a name that I absolutely can't pronounce. You're not Sheboygan, right?
Can I give it a shot? It's Manitowoc, right?
Nailed it.
Okay, there you go.
He nailed it. He's been here.
So I'm excited for you guys to come in, to get to see your faces in person, but then play some games. And Brew Brawl is an awesome space. We're in, I think, calendar year 3 of actually doing it. But we run. It's a weekend of events from Warhammer 40K to AOS. War Machine, what am I forgetting? Old World, MCP, Marvel Crisis Protocols is big for us. We're adding Conquest in this year, which I'm really excited about. Star Wars Legion, and Kill Team, stuff like that. So it's a full run of games. Oh, and on Friday night we're doing a Star Wars Universe. Is that what the card game's called?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. Yeah, I know it was a U. Star Wars Unlimited. I run the thing. You think I should know the names of the games, but we're running the Star Wars. Thank you, Star Wars Unlimited. Very cool. We're adding our first card game to our Friday night pizza party, so that will be a lot of fun. But yeah, we draw from all over the place. I think at last count we've had participants from 9 different states show up, which is really, really neat. Minnesota is the furthest so far. So Dunbar, you've been supplanted as the farthest drive. I know. You're just going to move again.
Yeah.
No.
One of the Dakotas, maybe.
Fist fight the guy in the parking lot for whoever loses has to move back to Indiana.
That's what it is. There can only be one. So I'm excited about that. So what do you guys? You guys are all coming in. What are you guys doing? Is there anything that you're looking forward to at the Brawl?
You cut out on me a little bit there. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. What do you guys? What you guys are coming in? What are we playing in the Brawl? What are you looking forward to?
I'm just there to play Conquest. I'm going to show up for the whole weekend, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting some actual organized play in, some competitive play with Conquest. So that should be fun. And then honestly, just hanging out, seeing all the games, drinking some beer, and
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that, right? It's held at a brewery, Missing Falls Brewery. Absolutely amazing place. The beer's great, the food's great. So as you're playing, you're drinking. There's a bartender right there, which is really, really good and or bad, depending. Yeah. So sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, it's all right. That was pretty much. Seeing all you guys drinking beer and playing games. That's what I'm looking forward to. Conquest should be a great time, and just kind of seeing everybody from the the old gaming location. The people I don't see that often, and so that'd be cool since I moved to Columbus.
Yeah. No, that it'll be really cool. I had a point. Oh, a Conquest. I'm really excited to bring into the fold. And again, like I mentioned last time, I'm a Vanguard, so I am represent the company in the game and try to get people playing. So, but I am genuinely hyped about the game. I think it's excellent. It's a great tournament game. So we should have a pretty decent little showing for that one. Josh, what are you looking forward to?
Pretty much the same as what Tyler said. Playing Conquest on Sunday. I'm going to try to pop up Saturday and Sunday to hang out, but depends how much life gets in the way. And I will be giving my beer to Tyler because he's my designated beer drinker. So
Good. That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's something we have to talk about at some point, Josh, with you. Is you're at that stage of life where your kids are high schoolish, middle school, high schoolish age, and they're in so many activities. So how you sort of like game around, caring about your family. I was fortunate when my son was at the age I had. My kid's 21 now, But when he was young and I had to raise him, I just neglected him. So I had all the time for gaming, which was really cool.
The difference is that was probably better for him.
My subtraction was an addition for him, and I assure you that he will tell you that in return. But yeah, I want to unpack that with you at some other time. Just talking about like how do you be a middle-aged gamer with kids that a family that deserves your time. So we'll come back to that. We'll do a whole special episode on that one, I think. So some Conquest as well, and so Mr. Dunbar, I know we've talked a little bit about what you're coming in for the 40K, and you're bringing the Mountain Dew Tyranids with us. Or for
yeah, I'll be bringing my 40K list, the one I played at Adepticon this past year. It's just minorly different, changes happen. I sent you the list. I don't know if you're going to be fancy and put it here.
Sure.
But it'd be really cool if you could do it as you raised your hands up, like it just appears.
That would be
challenge.
The start recording and stop recording button are currently challenging for me in this process. So yeah,
the volume is already there.
We'll all believe that's going to happen.
But yeah, so I'm bringing that. I'm really excited to see the Conquest, as I'm at least partially responsible for getting you guys into Conquest. I've yet to actually come and play a game with any of you.
Yeah, I don't know if partially is the right word. I'd say completely.
Well, yeah, so I'm really excited to watch you guys play and do that. I may try to bring my Conquest army. It kind of depends on space.
Sure.
If I have a way to bring it there, because I was definitely going to bring a couple smaller board like board and card games to play with you guys if you got some downtime in between big games or something like that, just to play a little bit of here. But yeah, just seeing you guys for the first time in quite a while. I mean, I saw, Gen Con last year. I got to see you guys, and that was, I think, the last time. So
yeah,
a little over a year now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to get the whole band back together, and then you'll get to see faces from JAC that you guys probably don't get to see. Like Tyler said, you don't get to see all that often. So I think that'll be those are my favorite parts of gaming. Is really the people and the socialization, and then like you said, Dunbar, the friends you make along the way, which is really cool. Which brings me to the question, Tyler and Josh, what is it about gaming that you love? Like, what keeps you coming back? Like none of this makes sense, right? Like you take time away from your family, you're spending money that could go to retirement or paying your bills, like in my case. So like, why do you keep coming back to gaming? Tyler, I know that you've been in and out of miniature gaming, and like you're heavy into GW, you got out of that, and you kind of like the push and pull of doing this. Like, what brings you back?
You had a pretty heavy stint in MCP as well, right? You got pretty heavy in MCP.
Yeah, and I still have all my MCP, and I think I would probably play it some more. I just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
But definitely what gets me, brings me back is the models are cool. Cool models can always get me back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I got back into Conquest. I was dead set on no more large scale wargaming. Okay. It's just going to be MCP, maybe get into Shatterpoint because I like Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Small model count games, and then orcs riding dinosaurs are just so cool that now I play Conquest. So, but I mean, that's definitely a big part of it. You'd think I'd paint more considering how much I like the models, but that's something doesn't really happen so much. And definitely, what I like about all the gaming, especially wargaming and RPGs, is the social aspect. Yep. I've always played video games growing up. I think pretty much anybody that does wargaming or any kind of tabletop gaming probably did at some point or still does. Yeah. But even if you're playing online games, I feel like it misses a lot of the social component. So actually going somewhere, meeting people, playing a game for a few hours, where it's not just, running through a video game and maybe you're actually talking, maybe you're just focusing on that. It's an actual give and take interaction,
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And I think I had the idea, because you've moved away and you're kind of trying to find like a new gaming group, people to play with, and it's kind of like speed dating at this point, where it's like you're meeting people that you don't know, and you have to spend a couple hours with them, and you're deciding like, is this a person that I can spend 2 hours, 3 hours with on a semi-week regular basis or not? It's challenging. I can't imagine moving away and having to find new gaming people. Like I would probably just quit.
Like you made the comment when I had the game for Conquest was that 2 weeks ago, I think, a gamer blind date, and I thought that was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
You know, most of these people I've never met. It's just we set up a game on Discord, and then I show up and.
Right.
But fortunately, I've been playing most of my games at round table games here in Columbus, and the people that I've met so far seem pretty decent. So
good. Yeah. That's something I've noticed too, and is just that the gaming community seems to be, at least the miniatures games, the people seem to be a lot more tolerable, and that might just be the games I'm playing. The Conquest, I've sort of moved away from the beardier tournament games, So I won't name any names, Games Workshop, but I'm looking at you. So that's great. I'm happy that you're finding people. It sounds like you found a cool space to hang out. So the cool models and socialization makes perfect sense. Josh, what about you? Like, what is it about gaming that brings you back? Like, what is it that you love about it? What keeps you coming back? Because I know that you go in and out of hobbies and games and struggle with sometimes motivation to get stuff assembled and painted and then ultimately play. So what keeps you coming back to this?
Well, for me, I mean, the biggest thing is it's a creative outlet. I love assembling. That's probably my favorite part of it. And that's really what drew me into Orcs with 40K is all of the different customizations that you can do. I like painting, but unfortunately I am very hard on myself, and if it's not perfect the first time, I get discouraged. So here lately I've been trying to just push through.
Yeah.
But as for gaming itself, I mean, it's the social aspect. Finding like-minded people that can forge a narrative of, whether it be little, army men on the table or a group situation like an RPG. You never know exactly how it's going to go, and having that collaborative aspect is very fulfilling for me.
That's awesome. I love that. But I will. The disclaimer is when we play role playing games with our group, I think we all know exactly how it's going to go. It's going to go horribly for the innocent civilians standing by. But no, that's great. Like just the idea that creative outlet of getting people to be creative together, which I think is really really neat. And I'm glad you're working on that motivation and the getting discouraged, because that's brutal, man. And I'm going to be talking to a therapist over the weekend, not just for my own mental health, but to talk to him. He's also a gamer, and we're going to sort of talk about those mental aspects of gaming and how to overcome those hurdles. So maybe hopefully that'll be helpful. But no, I mean, I'm happy. Whatever your guys' reasons are, I couldn't be happier that you all at some point walked into JAC Games, and all these years later we're still kind of talking, hanging out, and you guys are willing to drive back to this area to play games. I'm looking forward to drive to your areas to play games and all of those things. So that's very cool. So Josh, what do you wish you could change about gaming?
About gaming itself, the accessibility has gotten a lot better. I know over the past 15 or so years, we've gone from basically just one good place to play that now within a 45-minute drive, there's 7 to 8 different places to play.
Sure.
And it's also nice that that it sucks that Tyler isn't close anymore, but having gone down to visit with him and play with him and experiencing other game shops down there has been really interesting also. So first thing I would change is none of my friends are allowed to leave. It feels like all the people that I care about the most no longer live, within 30 minutes of me, which, can't really affect that. But
not legally, at least.
Not legally, at least. And I think when I was younger, a big barrier was the negative perception that gamers have, and it took me a while to realize that yes, there are some stereotypes, but 90% of gamers are just regular Joes like us. Like, they're just looking to have fun. They probably have the same insecurities, but I think talking about it is helpful, and it's something that with the prevalence in nerd culture that you see in mainstream media is slowly changing. The other thing is, and I hate to say it, Games Workshop, but it's the affordability.
Yep.
There, when I first started, I believe a starter box was like $59, and that was the Assault on Blackreach, and now you're lucky to get a starter box for less than 200. So, definitely crazy to me.
Yeah, yeah, that barrier to entry is it's wild, and and I get inflation, I get prices go up, and all those things, but it really it's hard to convince someone. It's like, oh hey, 40K looks awesome, I want to play, and like, oh sure, come on over, I'll show you the starter box. Okay, I don't even know what the new one is, 250, $300. Like, it's like, oh okay, it's hard to, even though like, hey, you get 2 armies, you get the rules, you get everything you need to play. But someone who comes from video gaming is like, I drop what, 60, I don't even know how much video games are. I drop $60 on the video game, I have it, but it's like, yeah, but you also had to buy your computer and your Xbox or your play, like whatever you play it on. So every hobby is incredibly expensive. And that's the way I look at it. Like, I'm going to spend my money on dumb things that make me happy. But it is a challenge to convince people to drop that much money on a thing that they've played a 15-minute demo of, So I absolutely agree with you. And I don't know what the solution to that is, but time will tell. I did notice that you did not mention you were sad that Dunbar moved away, so I just wanted to put that on the record. And I'm not going to let you respond to that. I'm not going to let you respond to that at all. I'm kidding. But yeah,
actually,
good.
In that vein, how far away do you live from him? Is it more than 30 minutes
from Josh?
No, Drew. Yeah.
Yeah, Drew's 45.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you said more than a half hour, and everyone you care about is more than a half hour away. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
What the actual time was from your house to his house.
Yeah, in my head. But in fairness,
yeah, between
I did live closer, and then I did move away. So
yeah.
I did that math in my head as well. Don't worry.
I think maybe the thing to do is just buy an RV and just turn it into a gaming location and just drive around the country.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the retirement dream of buying up plots of land and building hobbit holes on them with a central gaming area, I think, is really the only option we have, and I can see no resistance from any of our wives on that.
Yeah.
So, but that's good. Yeah, like I think the socialization. I think we come back to the socialization. The challenges of keeping a group together that plays games. We've talked about Tabletop Simulator. I'd love to play games on Tabletop Simulator, but I think I would just be bored to pieces. I've played like 1 or 2 games on it during lockdown. I'm like, okay, this is the game that I like. I get the rules, but I'm not here with my opponent, so it's not. I just kind of loses it for me. So, but yeah, I mean, those are all valid fears, and we'll sort of like dig into all those in upcoming episodes, which I'm looking forward to. So looking forward to seeing you guys at Brew Brawl. That's going to be a good time. So let's talk about what's on our hobby tables. What are we working on right now? Is everybody fervorously? It's my one word that I'm just not going to get right every single episode. What are we working on leading up to this Brew Brawl? Tyler, why don't you start?
Tyler?
I'm working on this Apex Predator right here.
Yeah, the camera does that thing.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah. That's amazing. The color change paint on that thing is amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on. I keep convincing myself I'm gonna, really power through it and start painting my other stuff and at least be partially painted for the event. But yeah. I'd be happy if I could get this Apex Predator done, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing. I mean, at this point, it just needs a little more base coating. I'm going to do an oil wash, which has become my absolute preferred method to paint everything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I applaud your patience with that. I do not have that kind of. I can't wait a day to apply a coat.
Yeah. But I mean, it's this should easily be able to be done for the Brawl. I don't know that I'll have anything else done, unfortunately. But
that'll be one more model than a lot of people are gonna have painted. So that's awesome. So
Well, with
I don't know about a
careful
lot of
application of mirrors, you can make it look like there's just 30 Apex Predators on the board.
that's fair.
there you go.
That's fair. That's a fun game. Well, very good. So
I did see the new Apex Predator they released. I'm looking forward to painting that one.
Yeah.
So.
Get that one because it's that's going to be a limited release, right? There's only like 13.
Yeah, that's a Founders exclusive or something.
Yeah. I'll have to try to find some photos of that. The new Sorcerer Kings with the dark crystal.
Oh, those look cool.
Birdman kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm excited for those too. Josh, what are you working on?
I'm still just assembling oodles and oodles of infantry for 100 Kingdoms. I've made it more than hundreds. Like I should be called the 1,000 Kingdoms at this point. But so there's 4 different sub-factions within the 100 Kingdoms. There's the Knight Orders, the Feudal, the Imperial, and the Theist, which represents the new church. Right now, I've got one of everything for the Orders, one of everything for Feudal, and I'm working on getting one of everything for Imperial built up. Still resisting the church, the theism, just because it seems to be the hot shit right now, and I have a big monster, the Archangel, which is cool because it's made out of building materials, but really what drew me towards 100 Kingdoms in the first place was just the hey, we're the normal men with horses and we're fighting all of these giant monsters. It just feels a little strange to me that, hey, now we have a monster too.
Yeah, no, that's fair because the 100 Kingdoms always seem like we're just regular dudes living in this horrifying world. But now,
regular everyday other guy.
So that's great. And then Dunbar, you're finishing up. Did you have any luck finishing up your stuff? Or you still you're gonna be last minute?
Yeah, my 40K list is done. I got my last model touched up. There's still always touch-ups and touch-ups. I want to get a little better at OSL around the eyes and do a little bit more effects. I got some what do they call it here? Some drippy. We use like this Tamiya Color X27 and mix it with Uhu glue, and it puts this real visceral looking kind of slime on the models. It's Tyranids, a little bit of that, but that's pretty much done. I'm happy with playing in the tournament with the level it's at. So right now I'm stripping dreadnoughts. I had some Dark Angel dreadnoughts, and I'm pulling that off because I'm doing Iron Hands for Adepticon this next year.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get ahead of that because we're doing me and Nick, we're gonna do an Oops All Dreadnoughts list. So he's running Space Wolves. So you can take Bjorn as his commander, and then all dreadnoughts, and then I'm running Iron Hand, so I have to have one Tech Marine and then all dreadnoughts. So it's going to be like 10 dreadnoughts and a Tech Marine on the table, and awesome. We're real happy. We got a real cool theme coming ahead. Since we're doing the Oops All Dreadnoughts, we're going to make like a big box that looks like cereal, and we're going to have Oops All Dreadnoughts on it. Yeah. Our team name is Serial Killers. Cereal spelled appropriately, and then like we're already thinking ahead. So like next year we're going to be the Cornflakes, and he's going to run World Eaters. I'm going to run Demons. The year after that we're going to do Groot Loops and do a Tau-based army. And we like started talking. We're like, there's a lot of cereal puns you can put into 40K. So we're going to start this like kind of cereal pun themed team, and just every year kind of be those cereal guys.
That's great.
I can't wait to see that. It sounds both dreadful and naughty.
Yeah. It's going to be horribly funny.
You had me at stripping dreadnoughts.
So for the cereal box you're planning to make, I assume it's going to be a Cat and Tech Priest, Oops All Dreadnoughts?
Yep.
Okay.
So also to the point where we found costumes, and Nick's going to dress up as Captain Crunch, and I'm going to dress up as Tony the Tiger, and every time I roll the dice, I'm going to yell, "It's great!" And it's going to be my own little dreadnought wall. It's just screaming, "It's great!" every 30 seconds at my opponent. So I'm either going to win by rolling well, or they quit. So
I was going to say that. Yeah. Expect the sportsmanship scores to start like high for that first minute or two of the game and just completely drop off.
Plummet, yeah.
Oh, that's great. So I'm in full event mode, so I'm just painting terrain. I spent yesterday painting MCP terrain. I've got to finish up some Conquest terrain. As far as I know, I'm good on 40K terrain, but something always comes up. So, so I'm in the, gosh, why do I do this to myself phase of running events, and it is freaking out that I don't have enough terrain. Then we'll get there, and I'll have enough for 3 times as many games. So hopefully I can get over that little bit of psychosis, but we'll see. So yeah, so that's it, man. I'm jazzed. I can't wait to see you guys. I think Brew Brawl is going to be a lot of fun. Tyler, I know you were at the first one playing MCP, and you haven't been able to get you back. Dunbar will be your first one. Josh, I think this should be your first one playing, if that memory serves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and then just hanging out with you guys for the weekend. What else do I have? Oh, so everyone make sure you check the links down below. Dunbar, I'm going to get a link to your game that you played for GW. I want people to see that on stream. I will find that, throw that up. That's going to be awesome. What else do we need to plug? I don't even know. So all the links for our social medias and everything will be down there. You can go look at the Lemon Lime Tyranids. Check them out on GW streams. And how many people you say were watching that? 85,000?
It was like 85,000.
Yeah.
That it was a scary amount of people watching me completely mess up my deployment. And ultimately lose the game by 3 points. I think.
Do you go back and watch
because I
that?
got nervous really early.
That's do you go back and watch that now and say like, oh, this has been watched by X? Yeah. What's it up to now?
I did. It's got to the point where it's just like 130K.
Yeah.
It doesn't give the exact number. It just kind of gives the every 10. It's up there though for sure. And I watch it and I'm just like, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that?
Yeah.
So I highly recommend do not be on stream because you just doubt everything you do. Like on a major stream like that. It was
either be too arrogant to not care about your mistakes or too stupid to recognize them. I am the fortunate culmination of both of those things. So I am the perfect candidate to stream. All right. So with that, guys, I'm going to let you go. I know you have lives to get to, but it's been great chatting with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few days. I'll have the house ready. Whoever needs to crash here is welcome. So guys, thank you so much, and get back to prepping, and we will see you here in a few days.
Well, all right, looking forward to it.
All right, gentlemen.
See ya.
Take care. Folks, thanks for staying with us. I'm joined today by Troy Williams, and Troy, I wanted to have you on because I think you have this really neat intersection of things that I find fascinating: gaming and mental health. Obviously, gaming is the reason that we're all here to begin with, for the podcast in general, but the mental health side I think is really, really interesting. Just very quickly on me, being a licensed social studies teacher, I had the pleasure of teaching psychology for several years to high school students, and through that it really got me talking and thinking about my mental health. They were able to open up about theirs, and those are some of the best experience I had with my students, is talking about those. So shout out to any former students who may be paying attention to this. Thank you for trusting me with talking about your mental health and psychology. But so Troy, I think you hopefully have some really keen insight on gaming, because I find through talking to people that sort of like the social aspect of gaming, or the way that this helps mental health, especially for middle-aged old white guys like me. I don't know. I think it's a great thing. So Troy, thank you for joining us today, and tell me about yourself. What do you do for a living?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'm really, really excited to do this. When you presented this idea to me, I was like, yeah, I think we can knock this out of the park. So I'm really excited to be here and talk about, two things that I'm really passionate about. So for me, let's see. Now, I am a master's level clinical mental health counselor. So in Ohio, I won't bore you with too much alphabet soup, but I just obtained my independent licensure, so I'm technically an LPCC. And so you can think of it as, I'm a psychotherapist, just like what you picture. I deal primarily in talk therapy, and I meet with clients all day, every day. My current position, I actually work in a community mental health agency within the medication assisted treatment program. So most of my clients um, experience some degree of opioid use disorder. And so, I do individual and group counseling there. I also work out in Ravenna a couple of nights a week, a little bit more of a private practice feel out there. So just seeing people one-on-one a couple of nights a week out there. But yeah, I think about this stuff a lot, actually. I'm glad to I'm glad to have a chance to talk about it. Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you. So what was it about? What was it about mental health? Like, what made you choose that field?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like all of my wargaming projects, it all starts with an idea, right? Like something sounds cool, that sounds fulfilling, right? And I knew from a young age that number one, I liked to help people, but also I liked to connect with people.
Okay.
Within my friend circle, I was kind of the guy that people would talk to, and I found that really rewarding. I have a knack for empathy, I guess is how I'll put it. And so I felt like it was something that I was good at. Sorry, I got a phone call here. Let me see if I can get you back. It was something that I felt I had a knack for, and it was sort of about finding, well, how do I apply that into something that I can do as a career? And when I was in college, I didn't really know, I hadn't really figured it out yet, right? So I kind of just picked psychology as like, I'll just get my degree in psychology, not really thinking about the implications. Yeah, right. Yeah, not really thinking about the implications of like, okay, well, when you graduate with a bachelor's degree in psychology, you're not going to be able to practice psychology. You've got to, you've got to go to grad school.
Right.
And so after I graduated, I got my first kind of like real big boy job at a community mental health agency as a case manager. And that was a really eye-opening, at times rewarding, at times extremely difficult experience. But it kind of reinforced the idea that I do kind of have a knack for this, but I wanted to do more with it than what the bachelor's degree offered me.
Okay.
So I decided to go back to school in 2018. I went to Kent State University, got my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling.
Yeah.
Took a long time because I was also working full time. So, it took me about 5 years or so.
Right.
But I graduated in 2023. I've been practicing now for a couple of years, and I love it.
That's awesome. And hey, shout out to Kent State. I am a proud alum and also a proud Kent State dad. My son just graduated, so a lot of golden.
Oh, nice! Congrats.
Thank you. Hey, getting them through. That was the hard part. Yeah. So shout out to the Golden Flashes out there. So that's really, really cool stuff. And I applaud anyone who's willing to sort of like deal with those sort of the darkest recesses of humanity. I mean, it's one thing to be a medical doctor, and here I cure your boo-boos and we can see what those are, but the brain is just so fascinating. I can only imagine how many amazing success stories, and it has to be uplifting when you know that you've actually helped somebody like turn that corner or see the light or whatever that is, and that it's got to be commendable.
I always tell people that it's a field where you will have the greatest days a career could offer you and also the worst days a career could offer you. There's a lot of peaks and valleys when it comes to this line of work. But yeah, I tell folks, therapy kind of lies at the intersection of art and science.
Yeah.
In that, with medicine, you can do a blood test and you can see how much insulin is in your blood or anything like that. But therapy is so subjective, and it's about the human experience and how we perceive things and how we think about things and the impact that has on how we function. and it's messy, and that's partly why I love it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. You know, the so-called soft sciences they're so hard to quantify, and you know we're learning more about them every day. And I think you made a great point. The intersection of science and art, like you have to be an artist. Like that's the beauty of it. I don't want my surgeon. I had shoulder surgery last summer. I don't want them to be an artist, right? I don't want them getting creative with the way they cut me open.
Yeah.
But when dealing with the mind, I think it's such a powerful thing to think about. So that's really cool. So thank you for doing that. I mean, I'm positive there's countless lives that you've touched, and you do have a very calm and soothing voice, so that's probably a great place to start.
I tend to turn on the therapist voice when I do stuff like this. It just sort of happens naturally.
Yeah.
I've been told I've got a good therapist voice, so hey, it's a good thing I'm a therapist.
Right. And I've been told I have a great teacher voice. I go from the sound of like I don't know, whatever voice will put someone immediately to sleep like this to screeching to wake people up. So I think maybe we're born with certain attributes we need to be successful in our careers. So
it's a good thing I'm not a drill sergeant. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Would you mind doing some push-ups? I don't know if that would work. So let's get to another intersection, the one that I've been finding really, really interesting. The intersection between gaming and mental health, right? And the reason that this was important to me to talk to you about, in our Too Many Beards section, there's 4 of us in this group chat that we've had going since, I want to say, COVID-ish, where there was a lot of isolation. We were stuck in our houses and we were all kind of going crazy, and we just one of the many things that got me through that very isolating time period was this text thread that I had with these other 3 guys who were closer in age to me. We're all I guess 10 years apart. I'm old, they're in their 40s, I'm 50, but just the way that we would just send stupid jokes to each other, we'd send memes, but also sometimes we would have very serious conversations like, hey guys, I'm really struggling today, and instead of them making fun of us and doing the typical machismo thing where they had to put you down for sharing your feelings, like there was welcoming, there was understanding and compassion and empathy, and those things really got me through, and they carry me through today. So these are gamer friends, right? So we became we became friends through gaming, and just the incredible amount of support I get. And so I think the more that I talk to gamers, doing this allows me to talk to gamers from all different sort of like areas. It's the idea that the social aspect of gaming is something that's incredibly important. And as I get older, I realize I don't meet new people. I mean, I work at a school, so my day consists of walking in, closing a door, and being around teenagers, and the entire day. Then I come home, so it can be isolating, but gaming, it allows for that output. So I guess my really long way of asking that question, Troy, is what is it about gaming and mental health? What's that intersection like?
Sure. So, I'll say that my experience is really sort of parallel yours in that, in my mind, the greatest benefit wargaming does offer to folks mental health wise. There are many, but I think the biggest one in my mind is a sense of community, a sense of belonging, right? As you shared, as we get older, our lives become a bit more isolative. Right. COVID really kind of emphasized that for me. At the time, personally, I was in grad school. I was working in a hospital. And so, I really kind of experienced the pandemic in a way that, we all did, of course, but working in healthcare during the pandemic was a particularly cruel beast. And so, I coincidentally got into wargaming actually right around the same time. And, it's the feeling of support that I get from my friends, the making plans, seeing people, being around people, meeting new people. These are all things that seem to just sort of happen less and less as we get older. We get sort of more sucked into our insular lives a bit. And so in many ways, this sort of works against that process in my mind. And for me, it's definitely been a huge help in making new friends, having new experiences that I never would otherwise, but overall just feeling like I'm kind of a part of something. Not just like in person either. I mean, obviously that's a big part of it, but kind of living in the Discord world, a lot of many long conversations I've had with folks on Discord, connecting with people around the world about a shared interest. It just helps helps the world feel a little bit smaller when the world has felt particularly lonely and cruel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. That idea of, and one thing I encourage my students is find your people, right? Like high school sucks. I mean, for the vast majority of people, when we look back when we're older, high school was not. If high school, I tell them, if high school was the best time of your life, then that's kind of sad, right? Like if you get to my age, but finding your people is this important thing, and I think gaming for me has allowed me to find my people, right? Like so there's so many people like, hey, we share an interest in gaming, but then you find out, hey, we also enjoy sports or music or whatever that is, and it allows you to be, like you said, feel a lot less isolated. I think that's an amazing point, that idea of community, and it so that the Discord thing and the internet thing is such a weird sort of meritage of things, because the internet allows us to not leave our houses if we don't have to, right? Like you could live and you could completely isolate yourself from the rest of the world, but it also is this great way to connect with communities. Yeah. And I imagine there's got to be some balance there, because I'm sure there's people that go way too far into all my friends are on the internet, versus I use the internet to line up games so I can go down to my game store and meet people face to face. So I think there's something there with the internet being the greatest invention ever, and also the worst thing that's ever happened, right?
It's a double-edged sword, man. Talk about a duality.
Yeah.
The internet gives us more connection than whatever was possible, and also has exacerbated disconnection in so many ways.
Yeah.
And it's all in how you use it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you use the internet for particularly cruel purposes, Troy, because you often post pictures of the things that you're painting, and they're so good that it makes me want to stop painting. So I'm going to need you to do it a little bit less. No, I'm kidding, man. Your stuff is, and it is, and like stuff like that is an inspiration. I would never get to see your work in progress, but when you post it on Discord, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then like, hey, what technique did you do? How are you painting those 48 belts that you were talking about the other day? So like, what are you using? Like, you sprayed pink and you put yellow on top. I'm like, that's a great idea, and it looks great. So like, those things are really, really neat, and being able to see the process as opposed to just the final product. I'm sorry, that's a tangent about the internet. That's not where we're talking. But I think the mental health stuff, those benefits of gaming are really, really cool. And whatever that hobby is, I guess it allows you to get out and meet, find your people. I think that's really neat.
Right. In addition to the community, I think it offers people a sense of routine and structure also. Yeah. Like, hey, if I know 40K Day is coming up, then, I know every month I'm going to go play 40K for like 8 hours, that sometimes can help you get through a tough week. It has for me in the past.
Yeah.
But just knowing that like I have a place to be at a certain time around people that I like, that also like me, and we have this shared passion that we're going to just sort of do together.
Yeah.
Because this hobby requires passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something I have absolutely learned. This hobby requires passion. So anyone who hangs out in the world of wargaming for any period of time, it requires a sense of commitment, intensity, and passion that not every hobby demands.
Right.
It's hard to casually play Warhammer 40K or the old world or anything like that. These are things that they demand a lot of the people who participate in them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's cool to be around other people who share that same passion and intensity.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Okay. In addition to that, though, for me, you mentioned painting, and by the way, thank you for that. It's very kind of you to say. the creative side of the hobby is sort of where I live most of the time. I have painted so many miniatures, and I've really tried to really emphasize playing with them recently. But painting is definitely kind of like where I find my home. So like for having that creative outlet and gaining mastery over a skill is another, significant benefit of wargaming with mental health that I've learned. I'm still capable of learning something new. I'm not restricted to just playing music or just writing or just being a therapist. I can actually paint something and it looks good.
No, that's great, and I think gaming, wargaming offers such an interesting set of ways to express yourself, right? Like you really enjoy the painting, it seems, and that side of it, and then so even if you can't get out in game, you can paint, and that's somewhat therapeutic, right? Like, and it has something for everybody. Where I don't enjoy painting. I paint my models because I don't want my opponent to play a sea of gray, right? Like it's, and that's something I've touched on in past conversations. This idea of shared experience, right? Like, so I've learned over the years that it is just as important for you to enjoy the experience of you and I playing a game as it is for me. So I'm going to do things that will increase your enjoy. Like I'll paint my models so you can see them. I don't care if my models are painted. Like I don't care, but I don't want someone to walk away going, man, that kind of sucked because like all his models were gray, and how boring is that, right? But the hobby offers, if you like the artistic side and you want to paint, or you love cutting and putting stuff together and figuring out a puzzle, you have the modeling side, you have playing the games, the competitive side, and that the games scratch that competitive itch for me, which is something I have in me, and I like that. Or the storytelling aspect where you and I tell a story together, you write big narrative. Like there's just something for just about everybody to creatively express yourself, right? And I think that's helpful for me mentally. It's a huge help to be able to get out and be competitive, but also laugh and joke and tell stories and care about whether you're having a good time, right? So I think that gaming has a lot for everybody, and that just that's one thing that continues to bring me back to it, right?
Absolutely. I always tell folks that like wargaming, it's like you play with somebody as opposed to against somebody all the time.
Right.
You are opposed, you are playing competitively against one another, but it's still, there's so much collaboration that has to happen for a war game to work, and there's etiquette and there's unspoken rules and things that you just sort of pick up along the way, because the best games I've played have always been with the people that were laughing throughout the game.
Yeah.
I've definitely played the tryhards. I've definitely played the win at all costs guys, and hey, that's their lane. That's what they want. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, but it's just not my speed.
Right.
I'm far more kind of like a narrative. Let's put our guys on the table, come up with a scenario, and see what happens kind of guy.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I admittedly am a recovering, highly competitive player, right? Like the way I used to see gaming was where I saw everything, playing sports. I grew up playing sports, and just the idea that there's a fun is a pie, right? And there's a limited amount to go around. I want all of it, and that's how I used to play. And I think as I've aged, I hopefully I've mellowed, and I don't want to be the kind of person where people are like, ooh, he's gonna be hyper competitive. That's not gonna be a fun time, right? Like. So,
typical elf play.
Hey, that is slanderous. I won't stand for it. But yeah, no, it's so I absolutely agree with you. Finding the right group of people, and another thing that my the text chat was having a conversation was about gaming blind dating, right? Like having to play new gamers and figure out if they're your speed, right? Like you're going on a blind date, you're going to spend 2, 3, 4 hours with somebody. And you have to figure out if you like each other and want to do this again. So, but
gaming blind dating, I love that.
Yeah, it's it's just what it's like. It's kind of what it's like. Because a couple of my buddies moved away and they had to find new gaming communities, and it's like you reach out on Discord and you're like, oh, they seem kind of nice. Maybe it's like a dating app or whatever, and let's meet up here and hang out, and then you're you're 5 minutes in, you're like, oh no, they smell weird. They're too competitive, whatever it is. But so I think that's that social aspect is really neat. Getting back to mental health, and I think the one of the other nice things about the gaming community is when you get to know people. You get to know them, right? Like you're talking via text, Discord, you're down at a game shop playing a game, and there's times when I've gotten to know people. I've been doing this for 30 years or whatever, and you can tell when something's off, right? And so it gives you that avenue to get face to face with somebody. And there's times when people have said to me, man, are you all right? Like, you don't seem to be enjoying this experience. So having that face to face connection also and fostering those relationships allows others, it allows all of us to sort of like check in with each other, right? And that seems so incredibly important. Just asking, hey man, how's your mental health, right? Like how's it going? And then if someone might be, what a sigh of relief that somebody actually asked about that. Now, yeah, my dog died, or whatever, I'm having issues at work or home, whatever, and then you can talk through those things, and it's nice to have that avenue. Like, is that a thing, or am I just crazy?
No, absolutely. I agree. How often are we really spending 4, 5, 6 hours with somebody doing something together and having a conversation along the way?
Right, rarely.
Rarely, right? That's not an experience that a lot of people have, especially again as we age. And you develop sort of an intuitive sense for how people are doing. You have a point of reference for, like, what does this person look like when they're doing well? And then I notice, if they're not really matching that point of reference, something seems off.
Yeah.
And if I care about this person, and I probably do because I meet with them with some degree of regularity and we do this fun thing together, I'm going to ask them.
Yeah.
And that's my style, of therapist. But like, it also, I think another sort of side benefit, and I think that men in particular benefit from this, if we have something that we're focused on together that isn't talking about what's going on, it makes things easier to talk about what is going on.
Yeah.
For example, watching a game,
Yep.
it can sometimes it just kind of peels the curtain back and makes it a little bit easier to just sort of talk about things when we have something external that we're focused on.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, that's something I think about a lot too, because like sometimes I'm surprised by where conversations go. I show up to play Age of Sigmar and suddenly I'm talking about how burnt out I am because I'm working full time and going to grad school and getting married in a year and X, Y, and Z. You definitely knew me during that era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely a huge difference between, I guess at least generally with men and women, right? Like, so my wife will just meet out with her friends for a drink. It's like, you can do that? Like, I thought I had to invite my buddies over to sit on a couch, watch a sports game, and then maybe we talk about how we feel, right? Like, but usually not. No, it's usually just yelling and screaming at the TV. So that is tough. And the thing with inviting someone over to watch a football game, right? We both sit on the couch, we stare at a screen, right? Maybe we're talking to each other. But gaming, you're face to face, right? Like, if you and I are playing a game, there's going to be a time when we're actually going to make eye contact, right? Which is in from what I've seen in our culture, that's not really a thing that's championed. It seems weird. We're not supposed to, dudes aren't supposed to look at each other, and that's not manly. And then if we start talking to each other face to face, and I think for me, gaming really breaks that down, right? Like you said, you're sitting across from each other. You're looking at each other, you're looking at the game, and then it just, I think the conversation just sort of naturally occurs. I find that incredibly therapeutic. Yeah, and I think that's such a cool experience that I don't get because I don't call my buddies like, hey, you want to go grab a drink and just sit and talk, right? Like, there's always has to be a buffer activity in there. So I think it's cool that this happens.
There has to be a purpose. There has to be a reason we're getting together,
but
right?
You just want to sit there and talk? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Like, are you dying? Because if not, then we don't. Right. So I'm glad we have the activity. Like, I think the gaming really facilitates that face to face. It's sort of like a two-way conversation as opposed to just staring at a screen together and screaming at people wearing spandex or going to tackle each other. Right. I do love football, but it is a silly sport. Anyway.
Yeah. No.
But
as a whole, if you take a step back and think about it, football is kind of ridiculous. But hey, so is wargaming. From a certain angle, anything is.
You telling me that playing with plastic dolls is a silly thing to do? How dare you? So
how dare I? Yeah.
mental health. So what? So when it comes to mental health, Troy, what is? I don't know. If you had to leave one lasting thing to tell the literal fives of people who might watch this about mental health, like what do we need to know? What do we do? You're doing your thing. You're isolated. You're painting your miniatures. You're playing your war games, but you're not fulfilled. Like if there's something going on, like where do we go? Like what? That's a terrible question, but I'm going to trust you to dig through it.
That's okay. I think I follow. I don't think it's a terrible question. I think I follow you.
Well, that's very affirming.
So to know that something's off implies we have a degree of self-awareness about it, right? Something, what that means for one person is going to look different from somebody else. Some of us are very sort of in tune with how we feel and can very easily make the connection between my mood and things that are going on. But some of us don't have that intuitively, right? It's not something that we necessarily think about all the time, right? So I encourage people to really develop your self-awareness, right? Of the mechanical things that work underneath therapy and mental health in general, self-awareness is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, right? And it's also something that therapy can really help you with, is developing a sense for being able to recognize, well, what exactly am I feeling? Like putting words to feelings. Not something that we do all the time, and again, not to like knock men, but especially as men, we don't necessarily sit and think, well, I am feeling really depressed today. What's going on? We just feel it.
Yeah.
And we try to, oftentimes, people inherently, we try to avoid it, try to stuff it down, try to escape from it, right? Very rarely do we sit with it.
Yeah. What does that mean to sit with it, Troy? Like I hear that phrase. Like, what does it mean to sit with your feelings, right?
Yeah. For me, what it means is to not necessarily embrace what we're feeling, right? Because that can go the opposite direction too. If we dwell on a feeling, we can go too far with it, right? But to allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling without pushing it away, without avoiding it, right? And avoidance can come in many forms, including wargaming. But especially in my professional world, dealing with folks who have various substance use issues, oftentimes it is about escapism, it is about avoidance, it is about not feeling the way that the world or my brain is making me feel.
Okay.
But sitting with it, for me, again, it just means being able to recognize that I'm feeling a feeling and I don't necessarily have to do something about it. I can just feel the feeling.
Okay. And so then, this is such a personal thing, right? Like, and this will vary from individual to an individual. So what do I do when I feel, or what do we do, I guess, when we feel that we're crossing that line from sitting with a feeling to dwelling on it, right? Because that dwelling is what can become dangerous, right? As I'm assuming, and take you down some dark paths. Like, I know that I avoid my feelings. I do a million different projects, so historically, like I will always be busy doing something, whether it's coaching or working or playing war games or running, podcasts, whatever, to avoid sitting with my feelings. But so what do we do when the feelings are there and we feel them creeping into what would feel dwelling or dangerous, right? What do we do?
Yeah. So this is, this depends on context, of course, right? Sure. Oftentimes it kind of depends on what's triggering this feeling, or if there's like an underlying condition. Like if I'm diagnosed with depression and I'm having a flare up of depression, it may mean, okay, it might be time to talk to the doctor about my prescriptions, X, Y, and Z, stuff like that, right? But outside of like, stuff like that, the question of what do we do? You mentioned a few moments ago that you have a tendency to sort of avoid things, right? Yes. You shared that, like, I dive into something, right? If we have that insight, sometimes it can be helpful to tell ourselves, as uncomfortable as it might be, to do the opposite, right? To embrace it, to talk about it, right? Don't try to fight this battle internally, right? Because if we're dwelling, we're already losing the battle,
Okay.
right? And like I don't love the frame. I don't love framing it as losing a battle.
Yeah.
But I'm also not doing therapy, so I'm not going to be too cautious about the words that I use.
Right.
But you know, if it crosses over into, you know, unhelpful, that's the time that maybe we need to look outside of ourselves for external support.
Okay.
Right? Like, hey, I'm feeling this way about this situation. What do you think about this? You know me, you know how I respond to things. Am I off base here? Am I thinking too much about this? Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Right? This is where having these social supports, aka friends, can be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's great advice. And so I think that self-awareness piece is the first one. And that's really challenging, right? Like I won't delve too much into my mental health challenges over the years, but like it took me a long time to realize like this isn't right, but once I did, then I was able to sort of like take those next steps, and so that recognition. So how do we encourage people to start doing that, right? I think we live in a culture where men in general aren't supposed to look at their feelings, right? We're supposed to be John Wayne and Clint Eastwood and insert the name of action hero here. Like, so how do we break through that to get through that first step of recognizing that maybe there's something a little bit off here, right? Maybe I'm not as healthy as I could be.
It's tough because we're up against a lot of systemic issues in that regard. You know, this machismo has been a thing that has been around for generations. Right. It's not something, unfortunately, that changes overnight. I mean, I've only been around for, going on 35 years now, but it does seem as though the conversation has shifted a little bit in regards to that. It still very much exists in many ways.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that takes consistency over time. As far as like normalizing getting support, normalizing that it's to some degree normal to not feel okay sometimes. It's normal to need to do something about it.
Right.
Normal to ask for help, normal to need support, normal to need help. Right.
Yeah.
This has been true throughout history, but I feel like, again, for men especially, it's really only within the last 25 years maybe really started to shift a little bit. And there's some recency bias. I've only been alive for so long, professional for far less, but we have to normalize it. And we normalize things by doing them. Right. So that was another reason why I was really excited to do this. I feel like it kind of gave me a platform to contribute to normalizing talking about these kinds of things.
Yeah, no, I think we need to normalize them, and I think that's one thing I've found through teaching when I taught psychology, and but just in general, like it taught me that talking about our mental health is normalizing it. And so I always wanted my students to see, like, here's a grown man talking about mental health, right? I didn't overshare and go into whatever it was, but just this idea, like, hey, we need to talk about our mental health. We need to get it out there. And you mentioned it's been like probably the last 25 years, and I would absolutely agree with you. I was raised in the 80s that, rub some dirt on it, be a man, whatever those things were. And they came from my male idols who, even though I don't think there was any kind of malicious intent there, those things stick with you, right? And you have to work through those. But I think the last 25 years is incredibly important because the last 25 years I've seen a rise of nerd culture, and especially with Lord of the Rings movies coming out, right? And sort of like introducing Tolkien's version of manhood to generations of men, right? Like for me, seeing Aragorn being so empathetic and loving with their friends, like that's way different from seeing, I don't know, Sylvester Stallone blowing stuff up. There's a whole different sort of idea of what manhood could be. So do you see sort of like nerd culture influencing that, right? Like I was raised by sportsmen, right? And now my son was raised by a nerd, right? Like, so I think there were, so he I introduced him to Spider-Man, who's my favorite fictional character, like someone who expresses incredible amounts of empathy and compassion, to reading Tolkien. One tradition we had was watching the Lord of the Rings movies every single year. So he got to see that group of largely men caring about each other, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think that sort of like nerd and geek culture has something to do with that? Can we take all the credit, I guess, is what I'm asking?
Of course we can.
We're saving
right?
men.
Of course
That's
we
what we're
can.
doing, Troy.
Yeah, right, for saving men, right? Like once again, nerds save the day. Right? But no, you make a really great point actually about how like sort of media reflects values. And Lord of the Rings obviously has been around since the 50s,
Right.
but when the films came out, I was, not to date you or me or anything like that, but I was in, I think, third grade when
Sure,
the
cool.
film started dropping, so
Hey,
I
I was a
wasn't thinking
full-grown
about
adult,
stuff
but
like
go
that
on.
at the time. But sorry.
That's all right.
But to have that visual representation, to see, not only is it on paper, but now I can actually see, okay, the heroes of this story are four vulnerable hobbits, who, their true power is their ability to support one another.
Yeah.
Through endless hardship, through all these scary, horrible things,
Right.
they cared about and supported one another, and at the end of the day, the good side wins.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to grow up in the era where being a nerd wasn't really like bastardized. Right. It was to some degree normal. Like I grew up playing Diablo 2, you know what I mean? And Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. I didn't get into wargaming until I was well into adulthood. But to answer your question, I could see it. I've never thought about it that way, but I could see it, about how like, nerd culture kind of influences a bit of a paradigm shift in how we relate to one another. And it's okay to like have these interests and passions that aren't, especially for men, these machismo buff, look at how built I am or how strong I am or how quickly I can kick your ass kind of thing. Wargaming does have maybe some of that a little bit, but at times, but as a whole, I agree.
Well, that's good. Well, congratulations, nerds. I think you're doing the world a service. Jokes aside, I think it is great. I think the mental health stuff with, gaming has been invaluable to me. Like I don't want to say to go so far as to say gaming saved my life, but I can definitely tell you that it has made very dark parts of my life way better. Is one of those, I guess, pillars on which my mental health sits, right? And when during COVID and lockdown, when the gaming started to go away, that was a huge struggle. Like I missed that social aspect. So, but yeah. So I'm going to give you the last word on mental health. What do we do, Troy, when we recognize that we need help beyond what we can do ourselves, or what our social groups can help us with? What is the next step? What do people need to know? Where do they go?
I see. Okay. So, first and foremost, I think therapy is good for just about anybody, but, especially, if we're at that point, it might be time to consider talking to a professional. Now, one of the criticisms about the therapy world is that, it's not always easily accessible. Right. There's sort of a limited supply of therapists, at least in this area. And so like, seeking help can't always be something that you receive immediately. Right. But what I would recommend people do is, we Google therapists in the area. We see, what practices are in the area. If they're taking new clients, it takes a little bit of legwork, but I promise you, any therapist in private practice is happy to get a referral. Right. And so it takes a little bit of legwork, but these days, especially with technology the way it is, the good therapists who have invested in their practices, who have these robust features that help increase accessibility, they do make it a little bit easier. So research therapists in the area, and also understand that therapy is a very personal relationship that you have, and so if you try a therapist and it doesn't click, that's okay. Right. not unlike a lot of mental health medications, there's sometimes a bit of trial and error in the beginning. But regardless, taking that first step is really the most important, because that's where people are going to back away from it the most, is actually committing to submitting an online form, requesting more information, or making a phone call, X, Y, and Z. So, find who's in your area and actually reach out to them.
Okay. Yeah, and that's great. And I think it takes, a great deal of courage to do that, right? To because you have to admit to yourself, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not perfect, whatever that is. And I think so. I appreciate that insight. So yeah, please, folks. I advocate therapy for everyone, like you did. I think it's great. I just the ability to talk to somebody that is going to keep that information private, because you can you feel weird saying some things about yourself that saying them out loud is hugely helpful. So I think acknowledging the great deal of courage it takes to reach out. So we'll put some down below, we'll put some links to some places. Maybe we can go find some mental health, or if you're really struggling, we'll try to put as many links down there as we can to help you out. So folks, please use them. Take care of your mental health, man, because I like seeing people show up for games, right? Like, again, I'll make this about me. Like, if people are too depressed, don't want to leave their houses and play games, and I have no one to play games with. So take care of yourselves. If for no one else, do it for me. Sorry. As always, we talked about teachers. Teachers love to be the center of attention. We know we're all borderline narcissists.
Oh, so do therapists, man. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about something a little different. Let's shift gears. Thank you so much about that talk about mental health. I hope we can do this again and maybe come up with some different topics, some ideas to really like push and pull and maybe get more granular with this stuff. I think that would be really, really neat to keep unpacking. But I know, speaking of unpacking, you've got a big gig next week. Let's talk about Lovely Weather.
Sure. Yeah, so Lovely Weather, I think I mentioned maybe earlier, I'm a musician. I play guitar. I've been playing guitar since I was like 11 years old. I'm almost 35 now. And so Lovely Weather is my band. We've been playing together now for about a year and a half, but myself and three of the other members have been playing music together in some form or another for basically the last decade. We were all in a band together prior to this one, and then that sort of fizzled out, especially after COVID. And about a year and a half ago, we kind of started picking things back up again, and we brought our vocalist on board, who actually is a psychologist herself. Yeah, so there's two therapists in the band. That's good. But yeah, we've always loved shoegaze and indie rock and sort of noisy ambient kind of music, and so we really wanted to make something that was a little bit more vocally driven, but still kind of held on to that sound. And we started writing songs together, and then she put vocals over top of it, and everyone was like, "This is really good. We need to actually record this and put this out." And trust me, that feeling is fleeting when you're, a local musician who's been in bands for, well over a decade at this point. Yeah. When you have something that's good, you hang on to it. And and so yeah, we put that out last year. We got a really great reception. We've played all kinds of shows. We've had a lot of opportunities that I've never had before as a musician. And it's become another passion project.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I getting to meet you introduced me to the band, and the music's right up my alley. I'm really enjoying it. Melodies is that's such a great song. We were talking off camera about how that just clicked, and it's such a great tune. So yeah, I'm looking forward to come seeing you guys live, and we will also get some links to where you guys are playing, some Spotify. Go check Lovely Weather out on Spotify. A terrific band, especially once again, middle-aged white guy music. It's just it just taps into that quiet underlying sort of suburban rage that most people that look like me feel. So yeah, no, that's fantastic, man. I'm stoked. So yeah, check out Lovely Weather, people. Great music. It's something I can put on in the background when I'm working and things like that, where it's just, I don't mean to call it background noise, but it's that perfect sort of like keeps me nice and even keeled, and you know, it doesn't get me too amped up and make me want to run through the wall or anything, but also doesn't put me to sleep. So,
well, that's exactly what we were going for.
Good.
So
when you and I'm going to internalize that as you were thinking about me, who you didn't really know when you decided to make this music. So thank you.
Oh, you didn't see at the bottom it was dedicated to Drew.
Yeah, no, I miss it. I'll go find it. But yeah, so check them out, folks. It's a lovely weather, great band. So let's wrap this up. Troy, we got 5 big questions that we like to ask all of our guests. And you know, so the first question is, you know, how did you get into gaming? You know, what caused you to start doing this thing?
Yeah, wargaming as a concept was introduced to me at a young age because I had an older cousin by marriage who was he's been playing since the Rogue Trader days.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I knew of Space Marines from the time I was like 8 or 9 years old, but never actually really pursued it until 2019, 2020.
Okay.
You know, it became my COVID hobby because the inspiration was I want to paint. I love the way these things look when they're painted well. So let's figure out how that works. And so I think my very first wargaming purchase was a Sisters of Battle Combat Patrol.
Okay.
Well, and so I gave that a shot and couldn't really game, didn't really understand gaming as a whole, just sort of took the approach of this is a hobby project and let's see where this goes.
Right.
And then it sort of fizzled out after a while.
Okay.
Then I was like, well, let's try this again. And went out and got a Space Marine Combat Patrol. Okay. And then I played one game of 9th edition, and I was like, I don't understand this. So, and I wasn't particularly motivated to understand it, so I shelved it again. But then I found Age of Sigmar, and Age of Sigmar was actually what got me into wargaming. Okay. And actually, the first time I met you was I went to the shop to get my Maggotkin of Nurgle battle tome. And you sold it to me.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. This was years and years ago now.
Okay.
And as I sit, I mean, within arm's reach, I still have an unpainted Glotkin here.
That's great.
So that shows like how far I've gotten to finishing it. But but yeah, so Age of Sigmar was where I started actually learning how to play war games and did some degree of organized play. I played in a league that was running at the time. Met some of my good friends, Lawrence and John. I met through Age of Sigmar, and that's really what launched me into the hobby from that point on. It's been kind of off to the races since.
That's great.
So here I am, dozen projects later, multiple dozen armies later.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's how it goes. That's great, man. And I can tell how young you are into gaming because you said you bought a Sisters of Battle Force. That means they were plastic, and you didn't have to live through the daily, people screaming for getting rid of the metal sisters and getting plastic ones. So you got to live. So hey, congratulations. That was a
You're right.
time.
I missed that era.
Yeah. It was a dark time indeed. But no, that's really cool. So what is it about gaming? And I have a feeling I know the answer to this. But what keeps you coming back to gaming? What is it about gaming that like you have various interests? Right? You do music, you have the work and the therapy and stuff. So what brings you back to wargaming?
All my hobby projects are all driven by an idea. Like it would be cool to paint a Khorne Berserker,
right?
Or I want a reason to paint Chaos Dwarves, X, Y, and Z, right? But what keeps me coming back to wargaming, outside of like the conversation we've already had about the friends and the people and everything, there's a degree of power fantasy to it. I do like the idea of like putting guys on the table and piloting it in a way that's effective and maybe even wins a game or two along the way.
Right.
It's like like painting for me was, gaining mastery over a new skill is really rewarding for me. And I'm fascinated by like the way game mechanics work and, the way rules are written and the way that archetypes are represented in wargaming. Like, this is my cavalry unit in this game. That means they get bonuses to charges, or this is my heavy melee unit, and in this game that means they get bonuses to defense or whatever. Sort of like how like archetypes are represented on the tabletop with abilities and rules and everything like that. That part's fascinating to me as well. It's the hardest part for me to gain mastery of, to be completely honest, because learning this stuff as an adult with a full-time job and all of this is like, I only get so much time for wargaming, and this is something that definitely takes repetition. But what keeps me coming back though are painting projects, but also every now and then I'll have a really good game where everything made sense, and I love the way that feels.
It's you can equate it to golf. I don't know if you golf or not, but like
not yet.
Terrible golfer, right? Like, I'll go out and I'll shoot, I'll get my money's worth at 150 shots or whatever it is, but then you'll hit that one good shot at the end. You're like, oh, okay, this is great. I love this. I'm gonna come do this again because of that one experience, and so that's really, really cool. But yeah, it's that idea of what brings us back to the gaming, I think is really neat. Like, you have so many of them. It's not just the hobbies of socialization, but it is that feeling of, oh, I did this right. Like, this is a puzzle that I solved, and I can do things the right way and have success, and that's a powerful feeling, right? And that's really, really cool. Don't want to dwell on negative, but what's one thing you wish you could change about gaming? Like, not a specific rule, but like, what's something that's like, this is the one reddish flag,
So I say this as somebody who, in the grand scheme of things, is relatively new to the hobby, right? And by new, I mean roughly 5 years or so. Long enough to see some trends, right? And again, not yucking anybody's yum, but something I have noticed is that in the wargaming world, it seems like there is a resistance to trying new things. Not always, right? But people tend to sometimes get very set in their ways. And you can't necessarily blame them for that because, with all the time and money and investment that goes into, building an army and actually playing an army and gaining some degree of competence with it, can't necessarily blame people for not wanting to go too far outside the lines of what's familiar to them. Right. But at the same time, wargaming as a hobby, has obviously been sort of dominated by a certain company with a certain game. Right. And nothing wrong with that. I'm not a guy who hates 40K. I'm not a guy who trashes people who like 40K. I've played many enjoyable games of 40K. Love the lore, love the models, X, Y, and Z, you name it. Right. But there are also so many other awesome games out there. And it would be really cool to see the community embrace it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's true. I started gaming and it was only one company did everything, and over the years, more and more companies, more different game systems, and it would be great to see people try more things. But you're absolutely right. I mean, talk about having limited time, limited resources to do things. It's it's not the cheapest hobby in the world, and when you invest into one thing and someone's like, hey, let's try this other thing, you're like, oh, well, that's a whole nother set of resources.
That's another $700 out the door. Yeah.
700. That's entry. But yeah, so getting people to try different things, and we'll have to chat sometime about what that looks like and how to facilitate that, because it's I think the gaming community is stronger when we're playing. We're all trying different things and we're trying different games, and I think it makes all the games cooler. So very good. That's a great response. What's on your hobby table right now? I think I have a feeling. I know I've seen some pictures, but what's on the hobby table?
On the hobby table, literally on the hobby table right now, is a giant brick of Conquest 100 Kingdoms Crusaders.
Yes.
Because I had the brilliant idea that I was going to multi-base all of my Conquest army. And wow, it is a lot of work. I can't decide if it's more time consuming than trying to get them to fit on the base and getting the bases magnetized and
Yeah.
get them all fit together on the stands. But what I do know is that I will love the way it looks once
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah. No,
It's just I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. I was going to compliment you, so you go on.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks. Right now, I am in the phase where, not unlike my World Eater's army, I realize how much of an undertaking painting all of this trim is. Painting all of the belts on my Crusaders has become a trial in patience and distress tolerance. But it's not. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just
Right.
one of the less exciting things than like getting the color just right on the tunics, or
Yeah.
painting the weapons, or hitting something with a wash and seeing it start to look right with depth and shadow and everything, or making a base that looks cool and like looks to some degree realistic. And it's the less flashy side of things, but it's an essential component.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I have 24 Hundred Kingdoms Crusaders that are about 80% painted right now. So I'm getting real close to having those almost done.
Good. That's and I've been following the progress on Discord and everything, and we'll put links to some Discords down there, folks, if you're interested in gaming and want to get involved with the personalities you see here. You come join us. But man, they look great. And it's an inspiration to me. So keep that up.
Thank you.
Yeah. And like I said, seeing other people push, and I had a conversation recently with a guy who's talking about he enters a golden demon every year. He knows he's not going to win, but it helps push his painting, right? Like it's like, oh, I need to try this, and becomes better. And I think so. Seeing excellent people who are really good at this, like you, helps me. And like, oh, I could just try this one small thing, and maybe it'll make a big difference. So. That's great, but yeah, your stuff looks great. I'm looking forward to you actually getting out and playing with us. I know life has been getting in the way recently. So yeah,
always does.
Yeah. No, tell me about it. So good. Keep painting those. Keep painting those 100 kingdoms. And the last question: what is your active gaming obsession? Like, what's the thing you're like? This is what I want to do.
Okay. Well, right now it is my Hundred Kingdoms army. It definitely is what kind of like lit the fire. The idea was, again, like I said, everything is kind of launched by an idea that I think is cool. And the idea that I thought was cool was I kind of like the idea of like, there are these priests who get to bless these big blocks of infantry and give them buffs, and everything looks cool, regimented on the tabletop together. And I've never done like the archetype of like the human infantry based army. And so it just sort of seemed like the right thing sort of happened for me to decide, well, this is what I'm going to do. And so yeah, I'm obsessed with getting that to the table. I just made a cool trade where I was able to get an archangel. So I'm excited to get that together. And yeah, I know, it's super cool. I saw someone on the official Conquest Discord painted one, and I fell in love with the way it looked. And I'm like, I'm stealing that idea shamelessly. Great artist steal, right?
Exactly.
Great artist.
All great artists steal, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been told.
Yeah. But yeah, it's driven by that idea, though. The idea of it sounds cool to have these like, religious warrior guys who are like, blessed by their priest, and there's this big living statue thing with a giant sword that, just as an archetype, I don't know. I like it, and it's something I've never done before. So I'm trying to do full steam ahead, work through the discouragement that sometimes comes along with hobby projects. I know that was another subject we were hoping to get to today, but I don't think we're going to have time for it. We can maybe revisit it later, because that's a big one.
Yeah.
But pushing through those moments where it's not as inspiring or as motivating as it once was, a key component to finishing projects, because these are massive undertakings. Yeah. But yeah, long-winded answer, but 100 Kingdoms, Conquest, more people should play Conquest.
I couldn't agree more, and I know that I am a quasi-paid spokesman for the company and the game, but it truly is a great game. So I can't wait to get to see him on the table and get a game in with you. So Troy, you've answered the 5 questions. You've survived, and I appreciate this. And thank you for coming on, specifically talking about the mental health. I think it's incredibly important that the gaming community sees people talking about it, that they know that it's okay to talk about it, and most importantly to seek out a little bit of assistance when needed, right? So thank you for taking the time. And
thank you for facilitating this. I really appreciate it. It's the first time I've ever been on a podcast, and I got to talk about three things that I love very much. I mean, mental health, my music, and wargaming. Yeah. I mean, that's me in a nutshell.
Well, good.
So I appreciate it very much.
No, thank you. We'll definitely bring you back on and maybe talk about some more specific focus things, like how to power through those projects that you get 90% done and you're just like, I can't do it, whatever it is. So this would be a great recurring segment. So anyway, folks, I'll stop rambling. Troy, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. Folks, as always, go check down below for any links that you may find useful, specifically the mental health stuff. Go check out Lovely Weather. Fantastic band. Their stuff's out on Spotify. Follow them, listen to them, go see them live in shows, buy merch, whatever that is, to keep Troy gainfully employed. And I had something else and I completely lost it. So I'm just going to shut up, and I'm going to say thanks so much, Troy, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. You do the same, man.
Right.
Take care.
Take care.